Happy Monday, y'all. And it's a rainy Monday here. This weather is crazy. We were almost 80 degrees late last week. And then like Saturday, we were down to, I believe, like the 40s or maybe down even in the high 30s for a low Saturday night or something like that. And now we're going to be back up to close to 80. So anyway, just thinking on this Monday morning, rainy drive to work, kind of tying into some weird dream that I had this weekend. It reminded me about my old 80 model Ford pickup that I had. And in the dream I was driving it around, because I guess out of all my vehicles, besides my 85 MR2, that is the one that I miss the most, I have the most memories with. It's actually the one that my wife misses the most. I got it after I sold my 72 Ford pickup. That was my first vehicle. So the 80 model was my second. So it's, 8 years newer. It was a short bed step side. Originally it started out life, I believe, as a utility vehicle, like a manager's vehicle, because whenever we got it, the bed did not have a floor in it, because in the early 80s those step sides came with a wood grain bed, or wood slat bed I should say, and that was not there, because whenever whoever's fitted it out for the utility company, whether it be the utility company or not, they probably didn't keep that around. So it just had like a sheet of plywood or something in it. So anyway, I drive that thing through high school and all. So many memories in that truck. I thought it was fast, but I mean, it had the 300 straight six, the 4.9 liter for those in the metric world, engine, and I mean, indestructible engine. Loved the engine. It didn't have quite the spunk that the 302 or 5 liter in my 72 had, but what it lacked in raw horsepower, it could tow anything you put behind it. I mean, anything. And it was just, it was fun. It was a 4-speed. It had the transmission was made by Borg-Warner, and it was their indestructible transmission, supposedly. Except for later I found out that was not true. And excuse all this noise. It's coming down, raining really hard now. But yeah, that Borg-Warner transmission, it was the T18. That was its designation, so you can go look that up. But it was basically the wide ratio transmission. Some people call it granny low, and that's how that thing was able to pull just about anything. It didn't even have, probably 120 horsepower out of that 4.9 liter, but it had, probably 275 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. In 80 model, of course, it was carbureted, so that actually afforded me later some interesting upgrades. So, I get this thing. It was late 94, early 95, something like that. It was after my wife and I started dating. We started dating in high school, so so I got that truck, that 80 model. It was sometime around 95, or 96, sorry, we'll say that. And so I drove that all through high school. I was actually in Votech for auto body my junior and senior year. So my junior year, it was actually my project, because the truck was white, and I didn't want a white truck. I'm kind of the thinking with Henry Ford, you can have any color you want as long as it's black. So Yeah, I did the crazy stuff. I went from a white truck, had to take it down to bare metal, which turned out to be an interesting process because I found a whole lot of areas that were not original on the truck, to say the least. And then the paint on the bed, I had to get like some naval jelly and melt the paint off because it was so stubborn, so hard to get off. I mean, I was going after it with a wire wheel and it was barely coming off. But anyway, so I ended up with it black. And man, that was an awesome looking truck after that. Not that it wasn't before, but I just like the older model Ford pickups. 80 model through 96 are pretty much all the same chassis, so you can interchange parts a lot. But anyway, so to get to the fun part and why this rain reminded me of that truck, it was scary to drive after I made some modifications to it. So after my wife and I finally got married, this was about, I think I finally did the modifications in 02, something like that. Maybe late 01, I can't remember. But we, we got back for honeymoon and all that, and yes, I remember when we got married, I just don't remember when I did the modifications. So I get back and I'm like, well, I got some money left over, and I've always wanted to see what this engine could do, with, just a little bit of bolt-on stuff. Well, a little bit more than bolt-on, but so, I sat down with my wife and I was like, hey, look, we got this much money left over. Can I do this? And it's not so much, we don't really, anyway, yeah, we don't really have to ask permission to each other. We just want to make sure that each other are on the same page. Because, she loves this truck too, and it is my daily driver at this point. So, I just wanted to make sure that, she was okay with it. It's probably going to take me about a week to get this thing going, the way that I want it. So, anyway, she's like, yeah, that's cool. As long as you don't destroy the truck, we're good. So I didn't yet. So I ended up ordering a, so it came with a stock 1-barrel carburetor, with the stock everything else. On the inline 6, the intake and the exhaust are all on one side, all on the passenger side. Well, the right-hand side of the vehicle. Passenger side here in America. So, this thing's easy to work on. So I did some research, and I ordered an Offenhauser 4-barrel intake. I know, right? An Edelbrock 600 CFM carb with electric choke, because I was not doing that manual junk. A Crane Power Max 260, 272, 260 intake, 272 exhaust cam. So it's a dual pattern cam. And Dynamax dual headers. Yes, dual headers on the inline 6. So I put all that stuff on there, and I got it dialed in. I went ahead and changed the I later had to change the timing gears, because this, an inline 6 like that doesn't have timing chain for the cam. It actually has timing gears, and it had some kind of fiber reinforced plastic basically, but I ended up shearing the teeth off of that timing gear, and they ended up having to go back with steel ones later down the road. But that truck, when I did that, oh my gosh, that thing was a beast. I know I more than doubled the horsepower. It was like, probably 120 stock. It was closer to 300. I never got it dynoed. I really wished I would have, but I didn't. So, I know it's got to be over 300 horsepower, and the torque, it was about 260, 270 maybe stock. It's 350 more, something like that. This thing is a hoss. It took some finagling getting the carburetor tuned, because it only called for a 390, and here I am putting a 600 on it because it was cheaper. But more power, right? So, you know, I got it tuned and everything. One of my friend's dads, he was big into Mustangs and all, so he helped me out a little bit. Because, I mean, 300 is 2 cubic inches smaller than a 302. So, you know, he pretty much knew some of the formulas to run and jet sizes and all that. But, yeah, that thing was fun to drive in the rain. Because I ended up having to put wider tires all the way around. I found a set of American Racing, I call them wagon wheel. It's like 10 spoke or something like that. But they were black because the truck was black, and I was going for the whole blackout thing. But yeah, it I got some of those wheels, and it was hard to find wheels for that truck because it was actually a 5.5 inch lug pattern, which is kind of rare. Most of your vehicles are going to be like 4.5. So, anyways, so I found a set of wheels and I ordered a set of tires. They were 275s. I put them all the way around, and this was like a 8.5, 9 inch wide rim, something like that. I can't remember exactly. It was wider than stock, and even on dry pavement, first, second, third, I can break the rear end loose just hitting the throttle, not having to dump the clutch. I mean, this thing is stout. So, you can imagine in the rain. So, yeah, I ended up, one day I was leaving where I was working at the time, and there was this little hill going out of the parking lot. And the throttle, I was still using the stock throttle cable at this time, and it stuck. It stuck from time to time. But normally I could just tap the throttle and I could, you know, it would free up. Well, it was not the case this time. Ended up stuck wide open throttle, and I'm in first gear. So on the 80 model, it had a linkage style clutch instead of hydraulic like most of the newer ones are. But so it used the frame and the frame and the engine have to stay in alignment, otherwise you got no clutch. So it ends up throwing the clutch out. I can't hit the clutch. I can't pull the thing out of gear because, I mean, it's so wound up and the engine's laid over. So ends up, I hit the dip at the end of the thing. I go a little bit airborne. I can't turn. Stupid me, you know, heat of the moment, I'm not thinking, cut the ignition. I end up hitting the ground, springs compressed, I turned enough. Instead of hitting the BMW, or sorry, the Mercedes that was on the other side of the road across the parking lot hump, I was able to turn, and I ended up hitting a Ford Ranger with my springs compressed. So I went up under his bumper. And I know you're thinking, F-150, Ford Ranger, F-151. Wrong. Because I went under his bumper. It tweaked his bumper, threw him up against the curb, and bent his axle. That's all that happened to him. Me, it totally demolished the whole front end of my truck. So I am devastated. Wrecked my truck, but it came back better, stronger. I'm not necessarily going to say faster, but I did take that opportunity to install what came as a factory option on some of them that didn't come on that one, AC. Because, I mean, I'm in Mississippi. Come on. You need AC. So, I ended up, you know, I fixed that and drive it for a while longer. One point I was delivering pizzas, and I was in it, and I know this thing, I know driving that truck, it can't get great gas mileage, and I'm delivering pizzas in it. But I was on one run, and third and fourth I fried. I have no more third and fourth. So I'm having to drive back to the store in second. And this thing's granny low now. So this is the indestructible transmission. It wasn't so indestructible. That thing, I guess the modifications and maybe my driving style, I don't know. Something killed third and fourth. Anyway, longer story on that. A friend of mine ended up giving me a 3-speed out of his 70 model. So I put that in with a floor shift because I was not converting to a column shift. That's just insane in an 80 model. So floor shift, and it wasn't so bad. But, you know, so I still drive it for a little while. It sat for a little while because I was having problems with the Dynamax headers. The flange was thinner than the Offenhauser intake. I could have got like some Hedman headers and all that. Oh, and the exhaust on this thing, I ran true dual all the way, turned down before the rear axle. That's what made this thing sound so awesome. And I was running through some turbo mufflers, glass packs, some people call them, but they wasn't really glass packs because there was no real filling. It was just the baffles in them. But I mean, everybody swore I had 351 in it, or even 460. Some people said, but from a dig, I mean, as long as I could keep the power under control, it was faster than most of the F bodies and Fox bodies around that were modified. I mean, we're good modified. So, but anyway, ended up. I hated to, but like with my 85 MR2, I ran out of time. I ran out of money. The truck sat in my backyard for a while, and it just needed some TLC. So I ended up, one Christmas, I gave it to my middle brother. Same Christmas I gave my baby brother my blacktop 20 valve. So this was before right about the time I was trying to do my beam swap. And so my middle brother, he's a diesel mechanic, and I mean, he makes some good money, and he had always been on me. He wanted my truck. So he got my truck, and now he's in the process of trying to restore it from the ground up. So we will see how that goes. I told him I get first drive once he gets it drivable, because yeah, and I get first dibs if he ever tries to sell it. So you remember that. I know you're watching. But anyway, so that's the thoughts for this Monday. It's a rainy Monday. Hopefully it will clear up a little bit later this afternoon. But that's what we have for now. So, what do you have or what have you ever had that was fun to drive in the rain? Or scary? Because I can still remember quite a few times right after I got that truck modified, taking a turn at a red light, and I ended up donutting. Quite a few times, actually. So, yeah, stay safe. And if you like this, give it a big old thumbs up. And if you want to see more of stuff like this, of me just, I don't know, my drivel, I guess, sometimes, hit that subscribe button. So, until next time.